Very good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Thursday, the 12th of June, 2025. We'll start off looking at yesterday's synoptic at lunchtime. Some fairly clear air, quite a good day in the end when we eventually got that clearance. Fog took a little bit longer to lift than we expected, but a good day was had by all. Uh, Overnight, all this messy stuff's getting a little bit closer in the centre of this depression, currently just on the tip of Brest in northwestern France. It's working its way closer, bringing with it some more unsettled weather. It's into midday today when we have this warm front more or less bang over the top of us. It's followed within that quite short warm sector of probably only about 100 miles, we've got a trough in there as well. So there's potential for some quite nasty weather around then. But I do wonder about the strength of this feature as it's not particularly evident on any of the other charts or forecasts that we're going to have a look at shortly. But then getting through midnight tonight, that's all passed or dissipated. We've got quite a messy situation out into the North Atlantic, but into tomorrow, bringing more unsettled weather. A cold front that is likely going to bring us some CBs, some thunder and lightning, but hopefully not until later in the afternoon. Into the weekend, low pressure centered over the UK, and high pressure working its way in by Monday. Looking at the sat pic, you can see big wodge of upper and mid-level cloud parked to the west and over us at the moment. I don't imagine it's going to clear particularly quickly. You see to the east of London, it's clear with maybe just a small amount of top cover in places, whereas it's quite thick down here. It should clear into the afternoon, but it's not going to stop us from flying. Now, the rain radar, on the other hand, you can see really quite a nasty situation to the southwest of us. Now, we're just catching the edges of this sort of line of rain. It is tracking sort of north or northwest, so there's a possibility that we're going to catch some of this stuff down sort of due directly south of us, but we're certainly going to miss the bulk of that rain. Just looking at the Met Office forecast, we'll run that through. We can see evidence of that at the moment, starting from 9 o'clock. See, at 11 o'clock, we'll probably get a fairly sizable shower. And other than that, just catching edge of that rain. From about 2 o'clock onwards, it's more than clear of us, and it will remain so well into the evening. So there should be no issue for the evening group operating tonight. The Odium TAF showing 0908 knots to begin with, visibility greater than 10 kilometers with few at 4,500 between 7 and 5 this evening, 7,000 showers, and the prop 40 between 10 and 5 of 4,000 meter vis showers, and there's a prop 30 between 11 and 5 of 150, 15 gusting 25, 3,000 meter visibility, heavy thunderstorms and broken CBs at 3,000 feet. So that is the risk is this afternoon it will get very, very convective and we will start to see these CBs coming in. Farnborough, on the other hand, showing on average 0908 knots with greater than 10 kilometers and few at 4,000 feet. But between 9 and 4 local, we've got 7,000 meter vis showers and a prop 30 between 11 and 3 of 100 degrees, 15 gusting 27, 3,000 meter vis with heavy showers, heavy thunderstorms, becoming 180 at 10 into the sort of mid-afternoon. There's then prop 30 between 3 and 4 of 4K viz, heavy showers and heavy thunderstorms again. Spot winds to the south of us. We've got 230 15 knots and 220 15 knots at 1,000 and 2,000 feet respectively. And to the north of us, it's a little bit more beg your pardon, easterly, which is what we're expecting locally today. 110 15 and 120 at 20 knots. Certainly, initially, we're expecting southeasterly flow across the airfield. We can see here confirmed by windy. Throughout the day and into the afternoon, it's going to get progressively more southerly and potentially into the early evenings, actually going to become southwesterly. But we'll be operating runway 09 to begin with, and we'll assess the requirement for runway change as the day progresses. The local Met Office forecast just confirming that for us. Poorer weather in the morning with a little bit of passing showers associated with what we saw on the radar there. Clearing up pretty quickly. It's all pretty clear at the moment, actually. East southeasterly to begin with, becoming more southeasterly, strongest being 10, gusting 17. So a little bit less than the Odium and Farnborough TAFs would suggest. And then going straight southerly at 4 and round to the southwest between 6 and 7 this evening. Visibility should be quite reasonable, other than when we have the potential CBs, which interestingly aren't shown on the Met Office forecast here, but they're very much indicated in the TAFs and the cross section that we'll look at in a couple of minutes' time. Temperature 20 degrees, feeling more or less the same, reasonably high UV and quite high humidity. Which I think is fairly indicative of the thunderstorms that can be expected. GFS showing outside of London probably about 20 degrees with a dew point of around, I think, 16, that is. Looking at the Lasham webcam, this is south side looking north towards the clubhouse caravan site. Low level clouds gone, if there was any. We've just got this fairly thick upper level stuff. Possible precipitation, gonna sort of clip the edge of us again. I think it was just a moment ago, very light rain. We'll see how that develops and we'll get the airfield set up very quickly. Okay, we're up to 15.9 degrees already. It was a fairly warm evening, didn't really dip much below 14, and the dew point's now up to 11.5. So sky sight on the left-hand side of the screen is an excerpt from the potential flight distance, as you can probably imagine with today's weather. Not much, a little bit to the north and east, but south and to the west, there's nothing really much for us to see there. And we could, having looked at that radar picture, that makes quite a lot of sense. Onto the point forecast, upper and mid-level cloud indicated until sort of early afternoon when it blues out. And we might get a little bit of cumulus with thermal strengths up to 3.5, 4 knots, and to a height of around 3,500 feet in the best part of the day. The thermal top winds are showing actually briefly southwesterly, but otherwise southerly or southeasterly in the morning, about anywhere between sort of 10 and 25 knots. It's quite a lot of variation on that. And the pressure fairly low to begin with, climbing quite steeply overnight into tomorrow. Interestingly, again, no indication of any of that thundery activity on this chart here. We'll have a look at the cloud distribution on Top Meteo, starting at 9 local. And you can see down here, we've just got the edge of the sort of auto queue at the moment, with just a little bit of thin to medium cirrus to the east, running that through hour by hour. The thick auto queue and the very low cloud that was associated with that line of rain begins to work its way in, but then starts to dissipate. We get some cumulus. That's 5 o'clock local. Into the early evening, it blues out so by 7 o'clock this evening. So we'll see if it actually behaves in that way. We'll have a look at the cross section in a moment. Before that, though, we'll have a look at the NOTAMs. Nothing particularly interesting to affect us today. Certainly that's going to be relevant. But at 17, we've got Barton Stacey live firing. 22, that's Delta 132 Ash Ranges, they're active today. And 18 is Thursday, they'll be firing flares, but that's not until later this evening. Down at number 6. You've got beyond visual line of sight drone operations down towards Solent. That's from 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock Zulu, and that will be from surface to only 600 feet. Over at 20, the Everly Danger Area 13, check the number, but Everly Danger Area is active. That's from 7:30 until 1500 Zulu. And in this big wad of airspace up here, starting sort of 30:31, that's some temporary Class D airspace. The only sort of lower level one would be at Kemble, and that's from surface to 4,000 feet, from 8:30 to 9:15 Zulu. The rest of it is similar timing, but goes from 4,000 to flight level 105. But I don't imagine that's going to cause anybody any issues today. We'll move on now to the airfield briefing, starting with the cross section. And you can see to begin with, a lot of scattered AutoQ and the AutoQ Castellanos. As the day progresses, the cloud base steadily comes down by sort of approaching 11:30, 12 o'clock. We'll get a little bit of Q. But then into the early to mid-afternoon, we start getting broken CBs, and then later on, cloud base down at scattered and few at 1,000 feet. There are warnings in for thunderstorms, actually heavy thunderstorms in the later part of the day. And wind-wise, we're seeing southeasterly and no more than sort of 10, 12 knots until sort of 5, 6 o'clock when it goes round southwesterly. So glider bookings, we've got two K21s for road booked instruction. There's two K13s on the instructor's course, and we have two K21s on the course flying. We've also got most likely a K21 available for the casual list, and there's a K13 allocated to trial lessons. We've got plenty of single seater availability, and there's one on the casual list. So if we could get an instructor to help, that would be much appreciated. And of course, the simulator is available as normal. Just a reminder again about the Aboyne expedition, 3 weeks in the beginning of October. We're running. It's a great site, great opportunity to do some excellent wave flying. So do get in touch with the office if you're interested. We've got nothing to report today from 2XL. And in summary, we've got a weak warm front with a trough close behind, followed close behind that by another cold front. There's a southeasterly breeze becoming southerly into the afternoon, and we had some high overcast rain during the early part of this morning. We'll be operating runway 09 initially today, possibility to change depending on what our wind does, but as far as we're concerned, we'll just stick to 09 to begin with, and we'll be cables to the south for the winch launch. Please make sure you're ready when the cable or tug arrives, and do remember we have a BGA instructor's course running this week, so they do need priority launching when they're out flying. As always, do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown here in red, and that is our airfield setup with winching off the south side grass, aero towing on the hard north, and if there were to be any grid, which I don't suspect there will be, it's in the normal place in the top left of the airfield. That's all from me this morning. We'll see you out there shortly. Have a good day. Keep it safe. Thank you.